What's up, guys? It's Brandon here. I know I haven't done a video in a while, but tonight I plan to continue my NHL predictions for this upcoming season. Last time we did the Pacific Division in the Western Conference. Tonight we will do the Central Division in the Western Conference. So, my predictions from 7th place in the division all the way to first. And you might not be surprised on these, but then again, you might, because I think I have a few bold predictions in this. Alright, guys, we're going to start off with 7th place here in the Central Division, and I have the Winnipeg Jets. Winnipeg Jets have tried to prove themselves what they are for the last few seasons now. This year, I see them doing okay, a little better than last year. They have a few players like Dustin Byfuglien. I don't even know how you pronounce it, but it's one of the good defensemen in the league. Have a few other players that I'm not even sure what the names are. But overall, I think this team could probably prove me wrong. They are capable of being a pretty good team. They might win a few games here and there. I hear that their defense is actually not that bad. So don't be surprised if this team pulls out a few wins unexpectedly. They could shock us. In 6th place in the division, I see the Colorado Avalanche. This team could be a few problems to some teams. This team is a little bit of a doubting team in my opinion. This team is okay, better than the Jets in my opinion. I think they'll place better than the Jets this year. I don't think they did last year, but we shall see. This team can be pretty good at times. This team can also steal a few wins from you if you're not careful. A few good players on the team. They still have Nathan MacKinnon, which I think is their best player. I think they might still have Matt Duchene. I have to check that. They have a pretty good goalie, in my opinion. Again, I forget these names. And not a lot of people think good things about the Avalanche. They could be a good team. We'll see this season, whether they are or not. They can be a surprising team, so watch out for the Avalanche if you're playing them a few times. I hear that their defense is not really that bad either, so be prepared if you play them. In 5th place here in the Central Division, I surprisingly have the Minnesota Wild. Minnesota Wild have actually been a pretty good team in the last few years. Well, they're not pretty good, but they've made it into the playoffs just barely in the past few seasons. I don't see them getting far into the playoffs. It's this season. I don't see them getting into the playoffs at all. They've proven themselves to be a team that you should not doubt. A team that you shouldn't take for granted. A few good players on it. You got Dumba and Zach Parise. You can't forget about Eric Stahl. He got traded from the Hurricanes, who traded him to the Rangers, who traded him to the Wild. So he's actually been in 3 different cities, 3 different teams in the last year now. So Eric Stahl could be a pretty good player, a pretty good role model for this team, other than Zach Parise. So, if you're a Minnesota Wild fan, you should probably be excited about Stahl being one of your co-leaders of the team, because I like him. If he was on the Penguins, then he would definitely be a really good guy for us. Just like we had his brother Jordan Stahl, so it was really nice. Anyways, don't doubt this team. They could surprise me this year and go back into the playoffs, just like they have for the past few years, but not go as far as they always have. I think the furthest I've actually seen the Wild go into the playoffs is the max 2nd round. So they don't go into the playoffs very far. If they do make it, they won't make it as far, but they probably won't. I have them listed as fifth. There's just too many good teams ahead of this team that are ranked in a higher spot. So I had no choice but to put the Wild here in fifth. So yeah, that's about all I have to say about them. Don't underestimate them. And in fourth place, we have the Nashville Predators. I have a few reasons why I don't have them getting back into the playoffs. There's actually a few reasons why. They had a big trade with the Montreal Canadiens during the offseason, just about a month or two ago, and it was a big trade. The Canadiens gave the Predators PK Subban, and the Patriots Predators gave their captain Mike Weber to the Canadiens. So they basically flip-flopped. And I don't really think I like that move. Weber was a pretty good role model for the team, pretty good captain. But now they have PK Subban on the team. And I like PK Subban. The way he plays, the way he leads the team, the way that he kind of led the Montreal Canadiens. Well, Canadiens to the playoffs for the last few years, except for last year. Really, I like the Predators as a team. I think that they can do really well. And we'll see what they do. They don't underestimate the team. The defense is pretty good. Yeah. And in third place, I have the Dallas Stars. As you can see, I have them barely getting into the playoffs. They're a pretty good team. I think that they will take a wild card spot here in the Western Conference. And who knows, they might try and win the division this year, but I don't think that can happen. There's just two more better teams than this that I will list here in a minute. I think they'll take the wild card. There's just too much talent on this team that says that they can't get into the playoffs. Well, hold on. There's too much talent on this team that says that they can get into the playoffs. It's almost impossible that they can't get into it because of the talent. And for some reason, I like the team as a good, powerful team, and it could be one of my Western Conference favorites this year. Lots of talent. Tyler Seguin and Jamie Benn. On defense, you got Klingberg. Very good talent for both sides, as well as the goalies. Kari Lettinen, still a very good goalie inside the goal crease. I think that he could dominate the season, maybe have his best season he's had. I like the Dallas Stars this season, and I think that they can make a pretty big impact. For me, they take the wild card, one of the wild cards for the Western Conference, and get into the playoffs. I don't see them going as far as they have for the past few years, but they might surprise me. We'll see what happens. Now, some of y'all, this might be a big surprise to you. There's a lot of reasons why I have the Blackhawks coming in second in the division for the first time in years. Really for the first time since the Red Wings left the division back in 2008. The Blackhawks have a new competition. They have the St. Louis Blues, and I'll get to them in a minute. But the talent on this team is still good. And I don't like the Blackhawks. By all means, I kind of hate the Blackhawks, being a Penguins fan. But this team still has talent. And you can't underestimate this team. I mean, come on, they've won the Stanley Cup at least 2 or 3 times in the last 5 years. I mean, what else do you think I would say? They were a dynasty, along with the Kings winning it twice in 4 years. That was phenomenal. But this year, there's a lot of reasons why I have this team in second. Patrick Kane, Jonathan Taves, Corey Crawford, uh, Andrew Ladd. All of these players are really good, but I don't think it's enough to capture the first place. I'll get to that in the next video. But this team still has a lot of power. Don't be surprised if they make me wrong. Don't be surprised if they surprise me and take first place in this division, because I don't underestimate this team. This team has been very good for the past 10 years. Like I said, they've won the Stanley Cup 3 times in 5 years. Very phenomenal dynasty, indeed. Led by Taves and Kane. Yeah, it's really good. And the all-star goalie, Corey Crawford. And I think his backup, Scott Darling, he's actually not that bad either. So, this whole team is very strong. Don't be surprised if they prove me wrong and get first place in the division again. But I just don't think that they have just enough what it takes to capture the division, because there is a stronger team that I think will turn a lot of heads this season. And here we go with that. That's right, I have the St. Louis Blues coming in first place, taking the Central Division crown. This team is phenomenal. When I was watching this team last year in the playoffs, and the regular season too, before that, this team impressed me. This team has a lot of talent. And let's just say that I might actually have a hockey crush on this team. If this team did not... if the Penguins did not exist, this would be my team. The Blues, I think, will make a statement this season. I'll get more into their playoff chances here in the next few videos. But I see a lot of potential in this team. I think that it's just enough to get past the Blackhawks this season and to get the top spot in the conference and actually have a new champion in the conference for a long time. I think that they will have just enough power to dethrone the Blackhawks in the throne of the Central Conference. So, wow, just a lot of players on this team that I can name. The loss of David Backes, they do not have David Backes anymore, which is unfortunate. Forgot who they gave them to. I would say who it was, but I completely forgot. They still have more talent. They still have Vladimir Tarasenko. In between the goal posts, they have Brian Elliott, which I think is a phenomenal goalie. I really like the guy a lot. Tarasenko, they have just Alexander Steen, Barkov, I think his name is Barkov. Lots of great talent on this team, defense and offense. I think that their playoff chances are huge. I think that they can get into the playoffs without trouble at all and really get far into them. I'm talking about Stanley Cup here. Maybe win it, just depends on who I predict on the Eastern side. It all goes out from there. There's nothing really else to talk about this team, just how phenomenal they are and how I picked this team over the Blackhawks to win this division. There might be a few surprised people out there of this decision, but not to me. This team, I think, has a lot of potential. I think this team has a lot to prove, which I think that they will prove this season. I think they'll get back into the playoffs. They'll go deep. They'll have a rematch with the San Jose Sharks in the late rounds of the playoffs. I think they'll beat them this time. It'll be reverse. So I have good fortunes in this team. So yeah, that's about it for that.